Hey everybody, it's Tony with Big T Bariatric, and I'm back at you with another video. Today it is Saturday, April 1st. It's April already. I can't believe it. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far and a great weekend. Today I'm just going to do part 2 of the Dr. Phil episode that I started watching yesterday. So we'll probably try to get through the rest of this if possible. If not, then we'll just end up making a part 3 out of it. But anyways, if you could look down below, and if you see that you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. I greatly appreciate it. Leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this video. I think in the second half, we're actually going to meet David's sister here, who is also big. And, it might lead to a greater discussion on enablism and stuff like that. So let's just get right into it.
It just kills you when you use it to excess.
I mean, it's destroyed my life, Yeah. Really has.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe twice it's made a run at it, but not yet. Now, let me ask you a few questions. Do you think your son's intelligent?
Yes.
And do you think he's determined? I mean, he lost 400 pounds.
Very much.
In spite of unresolved issues internally, in spite of an environment that wasn't really supportive of his efforts, in spite of people that love him, but yet also made it more difficult for him at times by giving in to him.
I think David here is a good representation of you can do it, right? Even if you don't have a good supportive cast around you, even if you have all kinds of unresolved issues in your life, you can do it. You could still lose the weight and get healthy and all that stuff. But it's also a warning sign that just because you do lose the weight, that doesn't mean you're out of the woods yet. That doesn't mean you can just, oh, okay, well, I've made it. I've reached my goal. I can go back to eating how I used to eat. And that's where a lot of people fail in their diets, because they don't look at it as a lifetime thing. It's, oh, I have this problem. I need to solve this problem, and I need to do it as fast as I can, so I can go back to my love. I can go back to my comfort. I could go back to doing things the way that I used to do them before. And yeah, it's possible you can gain it all back even after losing 400 pounds. And I think that's very scary. That's something that you have to look out for if you're trying to exercise and get things going in the right direction.
And by the way, I don't question your love for your son. Father to father, I can see in your eyes, I totally get you would do anything for this boy. I get that. And I'm going to count on that.
I'm here today because of that.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be here.
Yeah, I wanted to be here for him. And I think that what happened to him when he lost all this weight, he was a shy kid, and all of a sudden he's getting all this attention. He looks good. Girls are hanging around him. They called him the 40-year virgin, whatever they call him, and all this other stuff. And then it was all gone. He had that height, and it was all gone. And he had nothing to back it up with, and he went back to his old friend, the food.
Do you believe?
That's a very interesting observation, to suddenly have all this attention that you didn't have before, and that's great, right? When you didn't have that attention, you were always the fat kid, just like I was always the fat kid, never got much attention. Now that I'm starting to get attention, it's really weird. You don't know how to handle it, and it's very easy to maybe develop an ego or get used to it. And that's why a lot of people who get into a relationship when they're bigger and then they lose the weight, and why some people are insecure in relationships and they don't want their partner to lose weight, because they totally feel like, hey, if he lost all the weight and he looks really good and people are chasing after him, he's not going to want me anymore. Like, he settled for me, and so once he loses the weight, he can go get some gorgeous blonde or whatever. I can understand why that happens at times, but to have all of that and to get all this TV attention and people are liking you because you lost all this weight and they're calling you a hero and inspirational and all that stuff, and then suddenly when it's all gone, it's like, wow, there's this void in my life. All this attention that I used to get and people who said that they loved me, and was giving me all this attention, suddenly it's gone. And then when the void is there and you realize that it's just hurting you, you go back to the one thing that made you feel good, whether it's drugs or alcohol or food or whatever. So it's very easy to get stuck in that pattern of things are going good, but then when they turn sour, when they take a downturn, if we lose somebody or whatever, we can just run around the opposite direction and start going back to the thing that made us feel comfortable.
That you do have unresolved conflict?
I guess so, because I never talked about it. I buried all my issues, and and I turned to food.
It's like zipping on a parka. You've put it on and you've protected yourself.
You're absolutely right.
When I say unresolved conflict, when these things happen to you early on, being molested, being bullied, it changed your self-esteem, it changed your self-worth, it changed your definition of who you are.
It wrecked it. It wrecked me.
And you never repaired it.
Never repaired it.
So it's like, okay, I got a boat here and it's got a bunch of holes in it, and I never patched the holes. I just got lighter so I could row faster, but I still got holes in my boat. And then you get out there and pretty soon that boat starts sinking because you never patched the holes in the boat.
No.
There's something that's really interesting, and at least I think so. There's something called the approach avoidance conflict. It's like if you've got something that you really want and you start to approach it, you're moving along here and your goal is up here, you start approaching it and you're making progress, but the closer you get, the steeper the hill gets. And when you get real close, you start sliding back down. It's the approach avoidance conflict. As you get close to what you want, you start getting scared.
Yeah.
And so you start sabotaging yourself. And I'll tell you exactly what I mean by that. I'm going to use a stick figure here. You could have someone that is of normal size, like you got to, and you start feeling uneasy. You don't like the attention. You kind of feel exposed. You kind of feel naked. So what do? You start putting layers back on.
That's very interesting. I haven't heard about it that way before. Yeah, I mean, I can understand if you've always been a certain size your whole life and then suddenly you don't have that weight on you anymore and you're getting different types of attention than you've ever had your whole life. It can be uncomfortable, even if it's good attention, right? Even if you like it, even if it's in his example, he didn't have all this attention from women, and suddenly he's getting it, and people are more attached to him, and he's never had people treat him that way his whole life. And so it's something different. And in order to cope with that, he decided to start putting layers back on to help him be less, to get less of that attention, I guess. It's very interesting.
And then pretty soon you realize that what was getting all the attention, it's like zipping on a parka. You've put it on and you've protected yourself. And you're down inside there, and when you got close to your goal, that's when you felt like this. That's when you feel like this. This is this. That's when you're approaching a goal where you're going to be healthy, normal, everything is going to be good for you. You start attracting attention and you say, no, 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 I have to zip my parka on. I have to put this back on. I don't want people to pay attention to me. You know how I can do that? I can start putting on pounds again. And then girls that used to look at me and go, hey, it's a nice looking guy, all of a sudden they go, yeah.
You're absolutely right. I went from living a life beforehand where I was disgusting and hiding from people. Then all of a sudden I got all that attention and I just wasn't comfortable at all. You know, I felt like the elephant man. I really did. And then to be put out in the world like that, no wonder I hid.
I mean, you would think that the opposite would be true, right? That suddenly he's getting all this great attention that he didn't get before. And you would think that would be the dream for any guy to suddenly, oh, this guy looks really good. He's really handsome and I find him attractive and all this other stuff. But there's a lot of things that overweight people, once they lose the weight, they don't feel like they look. Like mentally, they don't get there yet. It takes time for them to realize that, yeah, I've lost all the weight. I'm not that fat person anymore. And it's really weird. And it can seem almost vain too. Not vain. I don't think that's the right word. Um, I'll try to explain it in this way. If nobody ever gives you attention because you're bigger, and then they suddenly start liking you because you're smaller, it's like, okay, you didn't really like me for my personality. You didn't like me because I have a big heart and a kind character, and I'm a good person. You didn't like me for any of that stuff. But you're only giving me attention now because I look better. It's like, is that really the kind of relationship that you want? So, for being in that perspective, you can see it that nobody gave you attention when you're bigger, and suddenly they're giving you attention because you're smaller. And it's like, you're not a very good person if that's the kind of person you're going to be. You don't see my character and my heart. You just like me because I look good. And that's it. That's the only reason why you're giving me attention right now. So there's a lot of mental work that still has to be done after you lose the weight. You're going to have to get used to being the new you because you've been the fat you your entire life. You don't know no other life. And my sister kind of pointed this out to me years ago. She goes, Tony, I don't think you even know what it's like to be a normal person, to be a normal size, to be able to do things a normal person does, to have a normal life. And she's absolutely true. I don't know what normal is. I've never been there in my entire life. So there's going to be some adjustment, and there's adjustments going on right now. There's things that I'm having difficulty with. But as I lose the weight and get smaller and smaller, and people find me attractive and whatever, there's going to be that adjustment that I don't even realize yet is going to be an adjustment. Because I could look at it, far off and say, wow, I can't wait until I'm there. And people are giving me attention, and I meet that special somebody and fall in love, and et cetera, et cetera. But is there going to be a little bit of an adjustment period?
No wonder I hid and just wasn't ready. The mind wasn't right.
Yeah. And my point is, you can look like the figure on the left, but you still feel like the figure on the right.
Yeah.
And so your self-esteem is still on the floor.
I feel so ashamed I haven't even looked at the audience yet.
Well, coming up, David's sister is almost 400 pounds. She says, like David, she once lost weight too. She didn't like the attention either. I wonder why. We'll meet her next.
In my 30s, I got down to 213 pounds. When I lost weight, I did not like the attention. I kind of liked the fact that I was fat and invisible. 392 pounds. Sometimes I feel that I don't deserve to be happy.
My son David and my daughter Jen, they're similar in that they both have aches and pains and are both extremely overweight. So I love them both dearly. But I do focus on David more. I feel bad that I don't pay that much attention to Jen because I believe that she can take care of herself and David can't. I hope I'm not wrong.
Weighing in at 648 pounds, David says he began overeating after being sexually molested as a child, being bullied when he got even a little overweight because he was big for his age.
I often felt the opposite of that. I don't feel like people paid attention to me, but they did my sisters. Um, and it's just kind of weird. It's family stuff. I'm not really going to get into it, but yeah, you could tell that I was just the one who struggled because I had ADHD and nobody knew that I had ADHD. And I don't know, it's weird, but that happens in families where certain family members get all the attention and then you're left alone to deal with it on your own, and it can be very frustrating and it can be hurtful as well.
Weighing 395 pounds, David's younger sister Jen says her weight gain started around 10 years old.
At 9 years old, I started acting out. I would hit and I would scream. I was out of control to the point where my parents had to wrap me up in a rug. I comforted myself with food because I felt confused. I was molested when I was 5, and a couple years later, I got molested when I was 9 years old.
What's going on in this family that both of them got molested? Like, is there a person in their family who is doing this? Are they allowing it to happen somehow? Like, both of them went through that traumatic situation, and then both of them ended up gaining weight and acting out and stuff like that. It's very, very sad. There is that connection between sexual assault and obesity. It's just there, and people don't understand that.
I did not understand the feelings that I was going through. And so my parents decided to take me to a psychiatrist to be put on drugs. Depakote, Risperdal, Prozac. The pills made me depressed, and I just dropped out of high school because I just wanted to sleep all day. The only thing that made me feel good at that time was to eat ice cream or eat pizza. In my 30s, I started to take my life in control again. I got my GED, and I got down to 213 pounds. When I lost weight, I did not like the attention. I kind of liked the fact that I was fat and invisible. Now,
Yeah, I mean, that's really strange to think about, but it's true. You can get to a point where you are comfortable in your fatness. People leave you alone. You are ignored. You are not taken as seriously. And it's easy when you've been through that sort of trauma to hide yourself in that way. You don't want the attention. You don't want people looking at you. Even though when you go out, people stare at you. And so you just resolve that by not going out, by staying inside, by hiding from the world. And the weight sort of acts as a blanket. It covers you up. It keeps you from feeling naked and vulnerable. And it keeps people from wanting to touch you too, because if you've been molested, you've dealt with that sort of thing, and so you want to be protected. You want to be hidden from the world, and so it's kind of like twofold here. It's you develop a food addiction because the food is comfort and joy and peace, and it just helps you escape the natural world that hurts you. But then once you gain the weight, you can get comfortable in that because it covers you up and it hides you, and you don't get the negative attention that you got growing up.
I'm the heaviest I've ever been. 392 pounds. Sometimes I feel that I don't deserve to be happy, and that this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life.
Well, Jen, thank you for joining us. You've been listening to everything we talked about so far.
Yes.
Why do you think that you have chosen what you've chosen in terms of your weight?
The reason why I lost weight in the first place was to feel better and possibly to, move out on my own. But then I started to gain my weight back, and then it's kind of like my perka, like what you were saying, that I did not like the attention and stuff like that.
What bothered you about the attention?
Sometimes it was positive and sometimes it was kind of negative. I would feel it was negative with like men. They would kind of like predatory towards me, and I did not like that. Mm-hmm. And so I decided it just felt more comfortable to be fat.
Your brother says that he gave you a letter of apology. What does he have to apologize for?
Well, when I was younger, since learning about his abuse and what he went through, I kind of understand it now. I was abused by him. Mm-hmm. Like he would hit me every day after school, and then he would call me names and stuff.
What both of you are saying is, when I lose weight, then I become more socially relevant. I become more stereotypically what people would be attracted to in a male or a female. And both of you say, I get very uncomfortable in that situation because I've never learned those life skills. So if you've got this discomfort with being more socially engaged, what's going to stop you from sabotaging yourself the second time around?
It seems like I've put myself through the ringer so many times, and I can't be unhealthy. I rather be socially awkward than sick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very positive way of thinking about it. I mean, when you come down to it, it's like, all right, yeah, I've done this to myself, and it's very uncomfortable on that end, but I'd rather be uncomfortable than sick, because being that big is going to make you sick. He's dealing with all kinds of obesity-related diseases. He talked about having gout and diabetes and all this other stuff that he's dealing with. And when it comes down to it, it's like I would rather not have all that stuff and feel good and learn. I mean, you can learn those social techniques, right? You can learn to be socially acceptable or whatever. It's going to take some time, but yeah, if you're uncomfortable, you're going to gain that weight back because you were comfortable in your own skin. Being big your whole life, that's all you've ever known. But it's going to take some time, which is something that I'm looking forward to learning, right? Learning the social cues. And part of it was starting a YouTube channel, getting comfortable behind the camera. If you knew me from my biggest size, I would absolutely never do this. I would never show my face. I would never take pictures of myself. And now I'm taking more pictures of myself, not because I'm vain, not because I think I look good or anything. It's just me getting outside of my shell, saying, you know what, I can take pictures of myself. I can share pictures that my nieces that I took after my nieces did my hair and look in a crazy way. Like it's funny. I enjoy it now. That's me branching out and doing something that I was scared to do before. So it's really fun. It's really fun for me to do this and to get out there and to share my view and stuff like that. And I think it's part of my growth process. So if you don't like it, then I don't care. This is my channel. You know, I'm just going to keep doing it because it's good for me. It's healthy for me. I'm getting out there. I'm expressing myself for the first time in my life. I'm sharing myself. I'm taking pictures, and it's part of the process.
Do you think environment was part of it for you?
Yeah, the environment.
Because you said that your parents also.
They rewarded me with food and stuff like that. But uh, in regards to David, my brother does get order service where he gets bottles of Pepsi and Coke. And if you tell him different, he gets angry.
You should have done this when I was a kid and a teenager instead of trying to tell this to a 40-year-old man who just wants to get his fix and be left alone.
Well, you're going to hate me. Coming up, what will make this time different than the last time David lost weight?
I mean, that's really the crux of the enabler and the enablee relationship. Parents can feel guilty. They probably feel guilty that they somehow are responsible for the molestation. Whether or not they are, I don't know. I can't put it on the parents. But did the parents turn a blind eye to it? It's possible. Nobody knew what was going on to me, so I'm not going to say that the dad knew. It was a private thing that happened that I didn't tell anybody until I was an adult. Um, so, but knowing that happened, knowing that they were miserable, that they were being bullied, like the only thing that a parent can do if they don't know what to do is to reward them with food. They want food, the food comforts them, the food calms them down, so that's how they're going to, get rid of their guilt by making their kid comfortable and doing what he wants to do. And then it gets to a point where they get so spoiled getting that one thing that if you suddenly cut it off, like cutting off the food, cutting off the soda perhaps, then it's like, oh wow, I'm going to throw a fit because that's what I want and I want it right now. And it really leads to a difficult family dynamic.
And does Jen really want to do this, or is it just what she thinks expected? We'll be right back. Okay, we're going to have Jen and David step on the calibrated scale. Wants to lose the weight once and for all with his sister Jen. My question when we were going to break was, does your sister Jen really have this as a priority yet, Or is it just kind of what you think you're expected to make as a priority? How important is it to you?
It is important to me because I believe that if we lost weight together, then we would have more support for each other and we would keep it off together.
Listen, if you do this together, it takes two of you to show up every time. It takes two of you to comply. It takes two of you to execute. If you do it by yourself and she wants to tag along, it only takes one because you're going whether she shows up or whether you don't. If you do it alone, you're going whether he shows up or whether he doesn't. You can get fat together, but you're going to get skinny alone. Now, I want to introduce Robert Reams. Now, Robert is a personal and group trainer, a certified nutritionist. He's a wellness coach. He's an author. He's a motivational speaker. And he's also a longtime friend who has helped many of our guests through the years. Now, Robert, you've been listening to everything we've been talking about so far.
Yep.
What do you have to add to this?
Well, you've done this before, so you know how it's done.
Yeah,
You were a trainer,
I was.
so you've taught people to do what you've accomplished,
Exactly.
okay? And you walked out here on your own power. I couldn't carry 650 out here.
No.
You did it.
Robert is, he's both a hands-on trainer and an executive trainer. He's great at programming. He's great at the nutritional mesh with exercise. And, you know, he and I have known each other for a long time. And there's one thing that I have so much confidence in him about is he understands that if you're going to do this, it has to be a lifestyle change. This can't be a diet. You have to understand that there's more than one element here. There's the exercise element, there's the nutritional element, there's the psychological element.
Yeah.
You have to understand.
We definitely talk about that all the time on this channel. There is more than one component. There is more than, hey, fat boy, just start eating salad. There is the exercise component. There is the psychological component. And all three need to be in alignment for you to get to where you need to be. And even in my own journey, all three have not been aligned. There's been times where psychologically I haven't been perfect. And so that sort of led me to backslide a little bit. But okay, then I get it back into alignment and things are great and I'm losing weight. And then it's, okay, well, I'm not exercising, which I confessed to in a live stream not too long ago, that I haven't been exercising. I haven't been doing too well on that end of it. And so my weight loss slowed down a little bit, you know, so it's all three have to be in perfect alignment for you to really take care of the problem in full. And you also have to think about it's going to be a lifestyle change for the rest of your life. It's not a temporary diet fix that's going to get you to where you need to be. You're going to have to do it for the rest of your life, or else you're going to end up gaining the weight back.
Why you sabotage yourself. You have to understand why you let this happen to begin with. And if you don't take away that motivational push by resolving those issues, you're just going to wind up back in the same place because you'll trigger yourself to do it again and again and again. So there has to be a therapeutic component to this in addition to everything that Robert offers here.
You're absolutely right.
Are you willing to do that?
Yes, I am.
And I'm curious if you are.
I am.
Your enthusiasm is underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at her, she is not enthusiastic about this. And he didn't even seem that enthusiastic about it either, because it's like they know they need to do it for their own health, but they don't want to break up that toxic relationship with food. They know they're going to have to figure this out on their own, without food comforting them, and it's very difficult.
So coming up, do David and Jen know how much they really weigh? Do we have a baseline starting point? Well, we're going to find out, and we're going to find out if they, we'll give it 396, okay? Step off, you can step on.
Okay.
All right.
You get up all right?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see what the magic number is. think it's like 657.
656 and a half, we'll say. Okay.
Yeah, that half pound's gonna make a difference.
I'll give you the half. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. No dancing. You guys,
Yeah, I got it.
you guys just
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to bust moves. I want
All
you
right,
to make
so
a visit to their home.
Okay.
all right, so I'm gonna leave it here, guys. But yeah, they know where a good starting point is. I had a few people comment and let me know that David is doing well. He's actually sort of living in a nursing facility. He's getting the weight loss off, and he is on Instagram. I don't remember. Somebody like linked me to it, but he is on Instagram. If you want to go see if you can find him, give him some support and love. I appreciate you guys watching this video. I love you guys very, very much, and I will see you on Monday. God bless you.